around you, rain falls on the great city of Rivershore. Rain drips from the eaves and floods the gutters, washing the filth away. The spring thaw must be here. The snow is melting. Looking up at the sky, cold water dripping from your hair. Grey sky like great battleships, clouds colliding with one another. Rain falls down on the world. Your shirt sticks to your chest. The shoulders of your jacket grow heavy. The cold finds its way under your skin. You shiver, and the city shivers with you. You see the lieutenant's familiar shape in the orange jacket. It turns double, then triple, from the pain.
Sunrise, Parabellum. Sunrise, Parabellum. Sunrise, prepare for war. It's an old revolutionary saying.
Isn't that written on your...
It served you well. The gates of the harbor are boarded up. The streets are a little more empty. Apocalyptic violence is yet to erupt, I am relieved to say. I think we may have held it off, for now. Barely. Yes, we have also completely failed, but that's okay. What happened? You shot the major in the face. A firefight ensued. Yes. As retaliation, their rifleman tried shooting you. He missed, or you dodged. I shot and wounded him, while Glenn took a bullet in the spine. It was meant for me. He did not survive. Titus, Fat Angus, and Theo charged. Angus and Theo did not make it. They both died before they made it to intensive care. Titus survives. So do Alain and the musician. I forget his name. Yes, he's still alive too. You were bleeding out by then. I think you said something about your wife, and you warned me. I was able to disarm one of them, the Pole, before she got a jump on me. I killed her, and that's what happened. The Pole was the last to die. Evrard had their bodies returned to Crenel for a funeral. The company is yet to retaliate. Because we deterred them? Or Joyce did? Maybe the harbor in full lockdown is too costly a target. Or maybe they are simply taking their time and will attack soon. I don't know. 4. Glenn, Theo, Angus, the fat one. He took a lot of bullets. And Elizabeth too. Elizabeth Beaufort was her name. The gardener. No, she bled out before Evrard's surgeon could help her. Evrard sent his personal doctor, but a costly loss for the Union. She was being trained for leadership. She never had a chance. She should not have been there in the first place. There was no way to convince them. All. Yes, officer. 6 people are dead. It's not a success.
+1. Ruby.
But what's done is done. The violence is cordoned off. The Hornets did not get into the beehive. The worst scenario has not materialized. Yet. And we are still alive. Both of us.
He did not expect you both to survive once you stepped between those two armies.
Reasonably bad. You were shot in the left quadriceps. That's your thigh. The outer side, thankfully, no major arteries were nicked. The bullet was removed and a bacterial infection treated with mercurochrome. We will see.
You won't be able to dance much, that's for sure. You should be able to live with limping around, though.
Not very. I have a concussion from that woman beating me with the butt of her gun. I tried to not move too much. Things would be worse if you didn't warn me. Thank you. I did not see her coming. Stupid of me. Easy now.
Your balance is way off. You feel like you're about to fall over on that thing.
How are you? Your disco days should have been done quite a while back, Lieutenant Freighter. I honestly don't know. We can't talk to Everard. The harbor is in lockdown. Everyone in there is outside our grasp now, and Joyce has left too. Yes, she left yesterday morning. To meet the board of Wild Pines, or that is what I've heard. There's a pin somewhere in the machine that keeps Connell from sending in a death squad. Maybe it's her. Maybe she kept her end. Either way, Ruby's gone, and Classio too. We really should have arrested her, you know? I don't know. I think the theory you presented, it's someone else outside our circle of suspects, was right. It better be. Everyone within the circle is either dead or gone. Honestly, I think our investigation has not produced a single credible suspect. It's extremely easy. There are thousands lying around from the war, all completely unusable. It's precisely how easy it is that makes that bullet useless. We should go upstairs, rethink the ballistics in situ. I agree with this. What else? What? Every piece of garbage in the city is not connected to the case. You don't have to catch everything.
He's wrong.
Okay. We could find thousands more if we wanted. All of Revachol is full of them. I don't know. That's been there for years.
He arches his brow. The ceiling fan patiently spins overhead.
It really is very hard. No. Are you ready to limp? Good. Where do you want to limp to?
The lieutenant did mention doing more ballistics.
Why not? Another look at the window, perhaps? The one he was shot through. I don't know. I can't think of anything better.
Next to the stack of bills, you see a note, a few lines jotted down in large, uneven handwriting, just as the writer was about to rush out the door. I'm sorry, I fucked everyone over. P.S. I didn't kill him. P.P.S. Gift upstairs.
A gift? It's hardly surprising. I am not drawing my gun, yet, but I don't like gifts.
He says he's not, but his hand moves instinctively toward his holster as he studies the note. You see the same two neon-lit shapes, a man and a woman, only now a red thread bisects the room, pointing from the antenna outside to the cupboard on the wall.
This is ballistics. She's left a trajectory for us.
A ray of backward motion explodes from his mouth to the roof outside, A prime, to then widen into a radius of locations in Martinez, B prime, B double prime, and B triple prime. It suggests the bullet came from the extreme upper quadrant of possible angles, from a point beyond the roof, B triple prime, the island in the bay.
Unless she thinks the perpetrator was standing on the ring antenna. That is where the thread seems to point. She was there that night. She would have known precisely where the bullet hole was in the glass.
She had a long time to think about it after, standing on that roof, staring at the glass.
It also looks like there may be more to her skill set than we know. The question is, should we trust her? I find that hard to believe, but at this point, what difference does it make? So it is.
For a second he seems tired.
Of course. I mean, how do we get there? Joyce Messier had a sloop, but she's gone. Maybe there were boats there. We should ask around. Let's go.
Oh, you're up. It's good to see you back on your feet. Did you like your room? I cleaned it for you. You're welcome. I thought it would be nice for you to wake up in a clean place after you, let's be fair, defended this establishment and its clientele from gunfire. I give credit where credit is due, and that, sir, was a nice shot. I was watching until you hit him. Crawled inside then. Bullets started flying. Anyway, I wish you a quick recovery. Also, you and your partner are staying here free now. This establishment supports cops. The stay is free, the drinks are not. It just felt I needed to specify that. Oh, you know, people don't tend to stick around after shootouts. Turns out they're not good for business. Yeah, I was. Yeah. That's because I'm a bad ass.
He nods back at you, even more stoically. Just two badass men nodding stoically. Make that three. The lieutenant is nodding too, hands crossed.
I don't remember everyone who comes here, and many people wear sunglasses inside lately. Must be a fad. No problem. They'll come back. They always do.
Seeing you approach, the bruised man raises his bear in welcome.
Crazy motherfucker. Didn't think you had that fury in you, but I guess I've misjudged a lot of people lately. That was one hell of a shot. Hell of a shot. The fucks did not expect that. But I guess what I'm trying to say here is, thank you for intervening, fellas. That was mighty brave of you. Dick Mullen on steroids. Glenn would have liked you had he gotten it. Never mind.
There's a lump in his throat when he thinks of Glenn, lying on the plaza mosaic, bleeding.
Theo was old. I think he'd be pretty happy with the way he went. Never could imagine him withering away on a sickbed. But Lizzie and Angus, they were just stupid kids. Didn't realize the shit they got into before it was too late. I feel responsible for both. For all of them, really.
Here it comes. The last one is the worst one. He only deals with it by drinking copious amounts of 8% beer.
And Glenn was my friend. Best I've ever had. I'd love that crazy homo like my own brother. We're all fucked without him. But what do? This job is shit. Well, yeah. Memento mori. Right.
Memento mori, or remember that you must die, is a slogan various religious orders have thrown around since the dawn of mankind to emphasize the vanity of earthly life and the transient nature of all earthly pursuits. In essence, it means one should live virtuously in this life to live better in the afterlife.
Absolutely. Today, I'm going to get drunk, eat good food, and bed a good-looking girl. 'Cause tomorrow, a motor carriage might run me over.
Or you might die of a heart failure or syphilis.
Hey, fuck you for ruining a beautiful idea.
Take care, coppers. You two look after yourselves now. Death passed on you today, but men don't get that lucky twice.
Copo loco. And normal cop, I guess. Good luck in Shamrock. Scars make the best tattoos, they say.
Thanks for getting involved, guys. Not a lot of cops would step into that line of fire, but you did.
And if you ever feel like the uniform is holding you back, I've got a few vacancies. You'd make one hardy boy, copper.
Officer, what happened? You're limping. Why are you limping? You look terrible.
You're not limping. You're you.
Is this from the shooting in town? We heard gunshots. Not that we don't hear gunshots all the time, but they were closer than usual.
There was an exchange of fire on Rue de Saint-Guylaine. It's nothing to be worried about, madame.
You didn't only get shot.
Of course. Can I help you with something? That won't be a problem. It's wind still and the tar just dried. We've got 2 days of relative sunshine ahead. If you promise to bring it back, and no scraping the hull, I just got it nice and yellow, and no drinking on the boat, and no joyriding either.
Of course, ma'am. It's only for a day or two. Official police business.
Aye.
The crow's feet disappear from the corners of her eyes as she smiles at you. Hasn't been there herself. Who has then?
My husband used to drink there. Him and his drinking buddies. Always seemed like a bad place to drink to me. People died there during the landing, you know. My mother told me.
This must be one of the many fortifications that was used in the dying days of the revolution against coalition forces before they took this city.
The kids sometimes go there too. I know they do, on rafts. I tell them not to, but they bring back old bullet casings and such. The twins. God forbid they bring the girl along on some rickety barge.
Can we maybe ask your twins about that place before we go? Would that be alright?
Be my guest. They've a strange way of talking. See if you can get anything useful out of them. I seldom do. Please be conservative with the fuel, will you? Just filled her up, but it's a small tank.
The scruffy-haired little boy kicks a stone while the other watches him do it.
And that iron. That's, nothing. It's just a seafort and some plants. You can take a raft there. It's great. And we make a fire. We make a fire. Gather the sticks for the fire and bullets. Or not real bullets, empty bullets.
Bullet shells. There are a lot of them left over from the war, but this could be important.
I don't know what those are. They're lights. The fire guy comes and asks us to put the fire out.
Your nerve endings sting from the mention of a guy. They must mean a human being on that island, but it's cut off.
No. Yes.
Let's go with yes.
Because he asks to put the fire out. I don't know. He doesn't like it. He don't like people to be there. You shouldn't go. Yes.
Because he doesn't want to be found. Smoke traces.
I don't know.
Did you mean there are electrical lights?
Yes. There's a...
Lights, fire guy. We should check up on that island.
A skiff with a small steering engine in the back floats on the calm mirror of the sea. Its 2 seats are empty. Once you get in, that's it. One pull of the starter handle, and you're off into the bay. A strange trepidation comes over you. Are you sure you want to go now? Have you made all the necessary preparations? Closed all your accounts? Remember what the net picker said. It's a small tank. You won't be going back and forth on this.
What? Fine. Let's blast SAD FM then.
SAD FM is a radio station specializing in sad, slow rock songs. You seem to know its frequency by heart.
to be free. Want to be free. It will last forever. Eternally. Want to be free. Want to be free. It will last forever. Want to be free. Want to be free. It will last forever. And the trees are green and overhanging, feather-light, free and everlasting. And the trees are green and overhanging, feather-light, free and everlasting. Want to be free.
The boat comes to a slow stop. The lieutenant turns the engine off. Then there's silence. In the silence, a sputter of wings. A flock of quails takes off in the distance.
Let's go.
The dry grass crackles under your feet as you stop. Far away, birds' wings touch the still surface of the sea. The flock of quail departs, now more than 100 meters away, 102, 105. On the islet, there is almost no wind, just the light movement of air through the reeds. Bulrushes swaying on the waterline, long dried leaves chafing against each other. Like a silent orchestra tuning at the beginning of some major work. Of great importance to the few who attend. A silent hiss, sea air moving through the needles of a pine tree. The faraway roar of the city, distant like today's dream. Before it, the sound of sand, The low tide filtered through its grains, a bird tending to its feathers. A low hum. The air slowly moves through a concrete box, through its ancient slits and cracks, resonating, hollow, a big building. Air flows out of a pillbox window. There is very little there. The air cossets flowers on a meadow. Absolute silence. Reeds motionless. Bulrushes motionless. A jitter, a sound impatient to happen, but not yet in this world.
Yes?
Momentarily, the sounds are swept away. Pain shoots up your right foot and into your groin.
I have. Is that why we're stopping?
An old cylindrical generator is nested above the ammo lift, with makeshift electrical wiring running out of its side and across the floor. The cables disappear into the wall to your right. The lieutenant puts his hand on the metal barrel, checking for warmth.
It's cold now, but someone has been maintaining it. The wiring has been repaired.
The lieutenant assists you, holding the canister up to the fuel tank as you tilt. Dark brown, viscous fluid pours out, and the room fills with a chemical smell. There's a red starter switch on the side of the cylinder and a start rope on the other side. The lieutenant flicks the switch. The recoil start wakes the old generator up. The machine sputters like an old warhorse before settling down to a rattle.
That should do it.
The tank is far from full, but there should be enough inside to keep it going for a day. Books and magazines lie scattered on the floor and on a makeshift cupboard. They are not particularly well organized. Most are soft covers, serialized fantastique and detective stories from the 20s and 30s. This disparate digest includes the classic Animal Adventures. Popular depictions of man versus nature by amateur naturalists T&T Harpin, husband and wife. Widely read by people from all walks of life. Who doesn't like nature? Who doesn't want to survive? Among what is mostly commercial fiction and serialized stories, you find a magazine cathodique for electrical engineering. Then it's back to pulp. Light erotica, an international thriller about circuit benders.
Someone's made themselves a home.
Not that you can tell. This is a digest of someone who's dead bored. Most of it is for entertainment purposes, fittingly right next to the radiola on the floor. Maybe it's a little old-fashioned. There's a nude mag. More than that, you can't say. The print in some of these is pretty small, though. This person has good eyesight. You see a small metal door nested inside a larger one, a heavy steel blast door. There is a conventional keyhole above the handle. It's very small.
Another part of the island, probably. The lock looks like it could still be usable. Maybe this is one of the doors we don't open?
He's right. It would be better to open its big brother. A powerful engine hangs under the ceiling. It must control the blast door.
I think there's a console just southeast. Let's look around. Getting the blast door open seems like the best plan.
Green paint flecks off the monoblock aluminium cabinet. There are rows of switches on the front panel, a frequency band, and even a keyboard. The keys rattle like teeth. This keyboard hasn't been functional in decades.
The console of an antique computation device. There was a generator upstairs with wires coming out. They terminate here. I think, yes. Let's see. That one. The emergency open.
The blast door opens with a series of clicks. A shaft of light appears, then widens as the light shines in.
After you. Don't worry, I have a gun. I know, it was not easy to acquire.
An old man, wearing tracksuit trousers, leans on the frame stock of his rifle. He gathers a big ball of spit in his mouth, then spits it out into the extinguished fire before him. He raises his black eyes, hooded by creased eyelids, to meet yours. Unclouded by cataracts, his eyesight is sharp.
It's not nice. It's a piece of shit. But it gets the job done. It's a 3-Angong 446.
Southeast Samaran made, exotic, must be defunct too. No modern rifle manufacturer of that name springs to mind.
A Samaran rifle. How did you get hold of one?
It was sent to us by our brothers in the Sinyao commune. Military aid.
It has stayed true to him. He can still make it sing.
You heard me. It's good now. Like chalk, white from the ball.
He's right. Almost no one remembers there was a third metastasis of the world revolution in the Safre Empire, extinguished in '06.
They wouldn't like hearing their name in your mouth. Damn dog.
The time will come to win his trust, comrade. It is not now. You need to take care of the gun first. The lieutenant pulls his pistol from the holster.
You are a glorified night watchman. This is a service rifle. I can only lay it down before an enemy commander of corresponding rank.
His elbows rest on the frame stock, calmly for now, but he may still get it in his hands. Looks like he knows the weapon.
No. Put it down now, sir.
Or you're gonna blow my brains out before you question me. To hell with it. It's a walking stick anyway. It's out of bullets.
He stares on, his wrinkled mouth moving without a sound. A strange sadness, like a song.
The future teaches you to be alone.
The present.
The present to be afraid and cold. Real music. Real brilliant cult. That's La Revacholière, not your rock and roll misanthropy. Chanson de soldat of the black and whites.
Marching song.
There you go. One of three. In Grad, they sang Brave Children, favorites of history. And in Sinyao, it was some Samaran shit, I guess. How did it go? Something about shooting rabbits. I don't know. I can't remember. It doesn't matter. It's gone now.
He waves erratically with his hand, annoyed that he can't remember. A little tremor passes through him.
My name is Josef Lilianovich Dross, Political Commissar of the 114th Anti-Aircraft Division of the 4th Army of the Commune of Revachol. I am a deserter, a partisan, and a prisoner of war. This is my terminal surrender.
The commune of Revachol? Do you mean the ICM? Your holdover from the...
From the Insular Indian Citizens Militia, the army of the revolution. I was recruited in Jamrock in '07, trained in the École de Contrôle Orient, and consigned to emergency defense duties in '08. I left my unit on the eve of the landing. When I returned here on May 14th, the commune had fallen. Still armed and ideologically trained, I wrote a criticism of myself and resumed partisan duties.
"51 minus 8 equals 43.
No. I've been on other islands, too. I was in a resurrection until they turned it into a spa in '18. Then I was an E-48, a nameless sound, until the sea washed over it. Then I came back here. That was 22 years ago. How does anyone survive? I steal. supplies, vegetables. I collect rainwater. It's the life of a dog, not a human being.
How is your health, Mr. Dross?
I've been throwing up blood since winter. Red, like beetroot. Been passing it in stool, too.
He does seem frail. Gaunt for his age. More like 75 than 65. Trouble putting on weight could mean cancer.
The RCM can provide medical services. You need to be looked over.
I need to die. You don't have medical facilities. You have guns. That's all they give you. Toy guns. There's nothing to look over. The triage is in, and it's black. Administer morphine. Moribund. I haven't. I have holes in my brain. Years missing. Others filled with pain only. A decade of... I don't even know what. Inferno?
I would imagine it gets tremendously difficult, mentally, to live in isolation.
Traitors. It's better alone. I watch the people of this city turn the lights back on, more and more each year. Ruins, glimmering in the dark, like a fucking merry-go-round. It's disgusting. You're with the RCM, the coalition-appointed mob that enforces bourgeois morals in Revachol. Let's. You represent the Moralist International, the enemies of humanity who took this city. I represent their adversary, le Parti Communiste dans le Monde. Take me to them as a prisoner of war. I have relinquished my weapon. I can no longer serve. No superiors can relieve me of my duty. You bulldoze them all to a mass grave for trying to free humanity.
A spray of blood from his mouth on the black charcoal in the fire pit. Rene, the royalist on the coast, said,
Liberal reactionaries signed that instrument. Traitors who should have been burned alive. I answer to the Communist Party.
Is that part of why you've been here all this time? Because the party didn't surrender?
He just wipes the blood from his chin.
I don't think you did. You live in a delusion. Radio shows, speed racing, and sporting goods. It's not real. It was hard in the Thames. I didn't have partisan training. They were searching for stragglers, those bloodhounds. Floodlights on the water at night.
There were posters, campaigns.
We communards still hoped, and they needed to snuff that hope out. The East capitulated. Martinez and Coal City were turned to dust. But Jamrock, Forburg, even Coron, and Boogie Street, of course. Those fucking kips had Marsov coursing through their veins. And others too. Some cordons of Revachol was still fighting. There were cells. I tried to contact them. Soon they all went silent. The frequencies dead. At night, I used a dinghy. I only went after dark then. When I got to the city, I stayed underground. Patrols, you lot, the commons too. they'd started snitching.
In the city, you move underground?
From bunker to bunker. Not anymore. No one cares now. I don't even have to hide. They think I'm another antisocial vagrant. I could walk straight into that town if I wanted. The propaganda bunker. I used to, but not anymore.
Propaganda bunker?
They stored leaflets there. Broadcasting equipment, too. Made broadcasts, I think. Propaganda officers. I buried them with their leaflets. They killed themselves. 2 young boys. A lot of our boys did. I spent some winters there. Never liked it. Kept thinking of them. No need to go underground anymore. It's better in the ruins, on the ground. So you finally found it. There must have been a small squadron's worth of arms in there. Elmer Graves, right? Useless now. Rusted away.
So you've been there?
Sleeping. Some nights. Ammo scrounging on others. Those McGraves were shit, even before they corroded. Some had bullets in the chamber, however.
You feel the dots connecting. Little dots on the map he's walked across. The old man looks across the water, at the city, the ruins, the motorways rising above it.
It's not an island, Dwat. It's a defensive fortification of the commune of Revachol. And I am its last surviving defender. The congenitally deformed King Philip II built it to restrict access to the Bay of Revachol. We captured it in '02, retrofitted the fort with an AA gun to defend against an airborne landing. Against the whole world. Coalition military called it Operation Deathblow. I later found out on the radio they called it Deathblow. You're one of them. Tell me, who speaks like that? We had 50 million people on Caillou alone. Iblis. The black-eyed angel. No, I am not a soldier. I am an ideological officer. I belong to the party, not the army. Trained in historical materialism, then assigned as a political commissar by the party. These things used to mean something.
He nods slowly, then another tremor.
43 years and 10 months. It's inhuman. It's sick. It's not how a human being should live, but I had to. I couldn't just forget. I couldn't just forget what I saw.
What have you been doing during all this time?
Hiding, fishing, waiting.
Where it's morning, on Rue de Saint-Gislain, people are walking. The gas streetlights have already been switched off. Further inland, in Jamro, the streets come alive with workers. Men, women, children rushing. Muddy avenue after muddy avenue. The temperature is rising. Alto cumulus clouds form above Precinct 41.
Always waiting. For her to return.
Her who?
Girl, child, revolution. Always. No. The material base for an uprising has eroded. The working class has betrayed mankind and themselves. The historic opportunity for a revolution has passed. It will not come back anymore, however hard I try, whatever I do.
So that's why he's the deserter.
What can I do? There's nothing serious in this world. It's a farce. I've used it for killing people.
Killing people?
It's a gun. That's what they're for. You want a moralist euphemism? Defending your family and your property. I haven't done that. I've used it to kill people.
Interesting. During or after the war?
There is no after the war. Class war is never over.
So he's continued killing after hostilities ended. Okay, okay. This is it. You can feel it, like battery acid on the tip of your tongue. Something you haven't felt in a while. But this is what you live for. This is the shit. The great serotonin jackpot. The solution. Go in straight. No euphemisms. He doesn't like those. No. Be careful now. Slow and steady does it. Make him repeat it first. Don't mess this up. Remember, he wants to tell you. Get personal.
I don't want to tell you anything, you grotesque murderer.
And why did you think that was a good idea? Don't listen to me. I'm wrong all the time. Nothing comes to you. Silence. His black eyes look at you. And in them, a chill, like electricity running up your spine, crawling into your skull.
All is not as it seems.
Detective.
The who now?
He heard you. He just wants to hear you say it again. This is dramatic flair on his part. Right choice. We're in. Do it, sire.
Oh, yes. That one. Ugly piece of work, that boy.
Did you kill him?
I am a son of a welder and an officer of the Commune of Revachol. I do not collaborate with murderers and pederasts of the liberal regime.
A drop of blood in the saliva. Exhaust him with proof. Pile it all on him. Get a confession. The scent of blood in the air. But what else? There was something you can't remember. Something about the tracks. Suddenly, all those tracks are so confusing. Go with something else first.
You're lost, Dwat. You're lost.
His gaze follows your motions. The rifle feels surprisingly light in your hand. Frame stocked and patched in places with tape and wire. Still warm from his parched hands. Not the metal. The metal is ice cold. This weapon has been modified several times. The rifle's in a shabby state, like a crutch that's seen too much travel. Hieroglyphs are embossed into the forearm, made of walnut. On the butt, you see Vespertine writing, burnt into the wood. Triangon, 4.46mm, made in Sinyao.
The right type and the right calibre. No one said it has to be a Belma grave. We were just guessing.
From ballistics, it could easily have been a triangle, too.
It doesn't matter if it was made in Shanti Shanti. All it has to do is use jacketed ammunition. And it does. I wonder how old it is.
The old man does not answer. He just stares in front of him. The old man keeps following your motion with his gaze. His right arm twitches suddenly. Some kind of involuntary response? Something is slightly off with his motorics. This looked very much like the murder weapon. It can be used against him later. For a 60-year-old man with stomach trouble, who spent his entire life alone on an uninhabited island, he seems surprisingly fit. He's prone to erratic hand gestures and clearly malnourished. But that's it. You can see no more by looking at his slouched frame. The moment passes, and you say,
Pretty bourgeois law. This is all you care about, right? The only thing in the world for you types.
a drop of blood in the saliva. That's right. Pile it all on him now. 3 should do it. Maybe 4. Wait, here it comes. The goddamn Maybells. The dried Maybells on Clausia's roof. There were Maybells in the grass when you got here, and Maybells on Clausia's balcony. And nowhere else. Nowhere in all of Martinez have you seen them. Wait, don't forget the footprints. The diagonal prints in the dust in the secret space behind Clausia's bedroom. Now they're gonna come up. You got it. Remember? The boot prints were like no modern soul. Nothing else comes up. You see the lieutenant watch you try to stimulate thought processes by hitting yourself.
Officer, a word? I think we may have this. From nothing to this in a day. This is good, Lieutenant Gefreiter. We just need a confession first, and then maybe a solid motive later. Ballistics. Let him cook here for a minute or 2. We can have another look around the island for a sniper's nest. I think we should check out the post. Yes, good going. That should be our first priority. Good. We are doing very good. He wants to confess, I can see that. We just need to pile it on a little more. The more we have on him, the closer he is.
You hear that? He thinks you're this close.
Remember, he wants to tell us, but he doesn't want to help us. It needs to look like we already have everything.
Minions of capital. What do you want? Pretty bourgeois law. This is all you care about, right? The only thing in the world for you types.
A drop of blood in the saliva. That's right. Pile it all on him now. 3 should do it. Maybe 4.
Everything is brands with you individualists. Who cares what brand my shoes are? Sansa? Some shit.
Show me the souls, please, Mr. Doros.
Fucking imbecile.
The maker is called Sansarique. and the size is 42 to 44. These are not the unusual horizontal patterned souls you saw in the dust on the floor of the hidden room. They do, however, seem to be about the same size.
The size fits, but not the soul.
Sire, he doesn't have to be wearing them right now.
Racking those brains, are you? Desperate to report something back to your masters? They must have really loved that dead fuck.
The lieutenant gives you a quick sideways glance and nods to acknowledge. The prints were his. You can see it in those eyes. He can't keep them from flickering, looking for something. The old man stares at his own prints in the ash around the fire. Silent suddenly, some strange process within him. A gush of wind. Seagulls in the distance.
Damn Maybells. The whole island is turning white with them. So many this year, too. The spring is coming. No, it's already here. Wash the filth away. They blossom on the islets before we fertilize them with our blood. Resurrection was snow white in May before they ruined it.
South, the Bay of Martinez is dotted with little freckles of islets, turning green, with white flowers in white snow.
The coast, too, before they piled their containers on top of it, filled with broken, useless trash for fat-fingered bourgeois children to play with.
You must get around a lot to stay undetected all these years. Do you know any secret paths? Pinball workshops?
I may. Classier. With the victim.
There is a small tremble, looks like a smile, a crooked smile, yet isn't quite voluntary. He's about to burst.
Not a lot of guns around that use military-grade ammunition, are there?
It's a real gun, not like your little musketeer pistols. I've seen you prance around with those, jumping hoops for the liberals. You look like imbeciles. Why don't you ask them to give you real weapons? Going against automatic rifles with these toy guns. Of course you got those boys killed.
Damn, he saw you. He's watched it happen. He would have a good view of the tribunal from here. It's not just empty boasting.
You didn't handle anything. I watched it happen. You let those fucks rip right into them. Got that girl killed, too. None of those people mean anything to you. The vultures feed on this city, and you prepare the meal for them.
You're getting diverted. Push the gun. Only the gun matters.
So you watched the fight. Did you like what you saw? The mayhem. It was all your doing, your plan. You got them killed.
You don't know anything.
You know what? You're right. I'm convinced this made the shot. Should we call it? 4.46 jacketed ammunition, modified for range. We have it. This is it. Good. This feels good, doesn't it? Tying things up like this. When you have the murder weapon, you have the killer.
Murder. You know who he was. A coalition-trained murderer. Armored and armed. He wasn't human. The blunt end of a hammer. Dripping with blood. Beating us to the ground. Moaning with joy. You hounds get so thorough when a company-trained killer dies. I haven't seen you on this coast for 40 years. You know, maybe I should have killed one sooner. Got your attention. Now you stop beating druggies and prostitutes in your basement. Now you come to investigate. Not when they die by the hundreds.
This is it. Shot him. Shot him. Say shot him, not killed him.
Oh, the inhumanity. One paramilitary less in Revachol.
The lieutenant raises his right arm to hush you, while the lieutenant listens, holding his breath.
I had them in my sights, both of them, him and the whore. I was breathing with them, in phase, and I pulled the trigger and flew on the air until I landed in his mouth. I didn't think I had a shot like that in me anymore. I did. I saw him kneel there with his mouth full of death, and that stupid look on his face. And his dick still in her. Nothing. I went to sleep. Next morning there were Maybells everywhere. The world was white, or what's left of it anyway. My last spring here. I knew the fascists would come to avenge their own. And so they did.
Mr. Dross, are you aware you're confessing to murder?
Yes.
And you were looking at Dan, the victim and a young woman, having sex through the scope of your rifle that night, before you shot him? Why?
Because that's what they were doing.
The motive. This is where the motive is going to come from.
I don't understand. Do you, detective? I don't understand this part.
I'm always looking.
Are you always looking through the scope of a rifle? I'm just trying to understand.
A rifle scope has the best magnification.
And if you don't like it?
Click.
Yes. Think of it as a form of critique.
He will not stop now. These dialectical materialist types never do. Exploit it. You got him going. Connect every little piece now. Wrap this up like a gift.
Them fucking. I didn't like that. Jealousy is a reactionary concept. I didn't like the Reaver enjoying himself, drugged out, soothed in the arms of a young woman. I wanted him to die so he could not enjoy life anymore. And I wanted to see his head explode. That too. She should know better than to hold a child murderer between her thighs. I knew he'd be there for one more second, writhing. That's all it takes for the bullet to reach his head. Now that I think of it, I wasn't aiming for his mouth. I wanted his brains to spill out on her. But you can't have everything.
The caliber of bullet he used does not do that kind of damage.
Since she came to Martinez, I saw her sneaking in the reeds early in the morning, behind the Feld building. It was dark, still winter. She didn't have her skimpy outfit on then, just a spot in the night, moving.
Past the Feld building on the coast? What was she doing there?
Hiding something in the water. She had a fag after she'd done it. I was up in the ruins there. She couldn't see me, but I could see her, smoking. She was nervous, but not scared. Her passport and tickets to Villiers, and from there to Cachet Bru.
In the free state of Seminine, hidden away at the edge of the earth, near the Pale.
After she was gone,
Did you keep the documents in it?
no, I put them back. Why would I take them? I'm not going to phone. Oh, I mean... I did. She had a face like an archipelago, with those birthmarks, and a body hard and lean and bruised all over, black and yellow. I could see she's taken a beating. I could see who she was, too. A spook, on the run. Revishal's the cloaca of capital now. All the bagmen and arms dealers end up here to do drugs and have sex like animals.
You could tell she was a spook from the documents?
She had different color hair on the photo, and glasses. Forged. Some sordid bourgeois affair. I've heard about this kind of thing on the radio.
He's setting it up for you. The bruises, you can't make that out in a scope.
You can't see bruises through a scope. It's just a blur.
It quickly comes to you.
Oh, yes. Cutting those drugs of hers into little lines with a knife. Masturbating.
Did you make that hole?
With a clip point knife.
Good for listening in, too. For hearing the moaning and the snorts.
Like that, too. Yes. Bending like a bow against the glass. I've been through all of Martinez. Every nook and cranny. Yes, that too. The things they did in that little room. What she'd do to feel good. Funny the way light works. You turn it on inside, and it gets so dark out, you can't see a man looking in. I learned that in the 20s, when they were still hunting me. I've seen people do some shit, but...
Those two took the cake. You hear the familiar scribble of the lieutenant's pen. A quick glance at you.
How did you get in there? The hidden pinball workshop.
I can just walk in there now after a good wash. I told you, they think I'm an antisocial. Closing hour is a good time. The kitchen's empty.
You had to open the steel door in the kitchen? How?
I got that open a long time ago. Some bourgeois game merchant lived there. I don't know, 15 years ago. He left spare keys all over, and I took one. Then I saw her turn the light on one night in my scope.
Andy found use for it. A spare key, like the one hanging behind the Union Box window.
Her.
The lieutenant nods at you in acknowledgement.
Where is she, that Clasier? I haven't seen her there for days. Gone. I knew it. She kept staring into the scope this last week at the island, like she knew. She'd look at night, crying or smoking on the roof. staring right into me. It doesn't matter.
Midtown, across the Bay of Rivershell, the oceanic wind washes 40-story towers. Above them, Lusan's Central Aerodrome, a cocoon suspended in the sky by a web of suspension wiring, encircled by hybrid aircraft. On the platform, a young woman is withdrawing from amphetamines, barbiturates, and alcohol. Yet still, she smiles among the crowd, among the great ghosts of the city she's leaving, for another, far south. Smaller, distant, hidden, not like the great chandelier she sees sparkle in the night below her. Streetlights, towers, tenements, and water, and across it, a dark strip of ruins, barely visible if she didn't squint her eyes. He knew she knows. She was looking at the island, figuring it out, day by day, cigarette by cigarette.
We could get more. We've got him talking.
Who knows what he's seen and done over the years?
A tragic comedy. Druggies, prostitutes, and rentiers.
A strange little engine seems to fire up in him again. It straightens his back. The familiar put of hatred.
Specifically, the whole city is a charnel house, stripped clean and draped in neon. But Martinez is the worst. Because of the racists, everyone is a racist in Martinez. It's their favorite thing to do in the whole world, listening to race-themed radio shows, in the ruins, in their lorries. Pumped full of steroids and Radio Revachol 92. Race this, race that. It's all sanctioned by that Social Democratic Union and the farce of a Social Democrat who runs it. Yes, the fly larva in his container. He let some nihilistic advertising yuppies erect a statue of Philippe III, a syphilitic murderer, on the town square, to spit on the working class. Not since the serfs of ancient Pericarnassus has history produced a more inert social class than the Martinez proletariat. The rest of Revachol at least pretends to rebuild. These people still live in ruins. Intense, like animals. Like those boom-boom morons on the ice. A pity they didn't drown in that tent of theirs. The worst of them is the blood-drenched Sucrion on her yacht, licking her lips. The old whore's gone now. Her gun-toting porcelain men are dead. So, actually, no. The worst is that old cop parading around in his uniform, throwing balls all day. It's not enough that the racists and liberals are dancing on our graves. The old loyalist ghouls still parade the ruins too. Every morning he's there, while the parasites he fought to protect are off in Ozon, or Quayamoran, or some other island they built their palaces on, feeding on drugs and having sex with their own children. That's all the rich really want. Sex with their own children. Throughout history, even the royal bloodline of the suzerain, it's all just an excuse for them to have sordid sex. At least that old cunt, Frisell, is now dead. We did good when we pushed him under that horse car. If only, in the 30s, those disco whores.
The disco whores are too much. Hatred shuts down his brain's language center, leaving only a nonsensical sputter. There was something about a statue and nihilistic advertising agency people might be worth investigating.
Every fucking morning for 34 years. Throwing that ball. One ball against the other. I've always loathed that game. That is not a working class game. I don't care what they say on Radio June. Royalist ghouls played like it was life itself. Click, clack across the water each day. And that uniform, like a parrot plumage. I won't even mention that he's a traitor to his race. A petank maniac race traitor. I remember him. I remember him from La Noce. Not him personally, his make and model. There were tens of thousands of them. I thought we took them all out before the liberals came to their rescue. We missed one. That one.
There doesn't seem to be a single person under the pine today.
Fat and plump, like a pheasant, just begging to be popped off. Please, Mr. Dross, shoot me. Not yet. I like to look at him strut around, place the crosshair on his medals, right on his face, and just fiddle the trigger. Think about it. Let the bonbon melt in my mouth.
Save the treat for later?
He is a juicy bonbon, that one. A real treat for the black day. The blackest. When I put that gun in my own mouth, I think, no, don't waste it. Put this lead in that cock, René. For the boys he killed. And then I look at him throw those balls, and I suddenly feel better. I even hid one bullet, so I'd always have one for him. Haven't seen him there lately. Must be down with arthritis. Oh, cunt. Another hideous disappointment. Unions are the real enemy. The true enemy of the proletariat. Placating the masses.
Disappointment, so personal. He displays a familiarity with the union's top brass.
That deformed toad? I wouldn't expect him to wipe his own ass. I mean, the brains of the operation, the smart one.
Edgar.
He talks a big game about uprising and social base. They must have sent the smart one to some university in Le Jardin, where it's alienation this and hegemony that. First against the wall with him.
The Clares wouldn't miss a man hidden in their own backyard. Not all this time. Nothing happens in Martinez without them knowing.
Of course. Maybe the Clears asked him to.
You know why I killed that fucker, Duat. As to Edgar, I'm not doing anything for that swine again.
Again? What have you done for Edgar before?
Tried teaching him some Marzovian socioeconomics. They didn't stick. We parted ways.
Okay, he didn't do the hanged man for them, but he's insinuating something. Oh no, the connection doesn't come to you on such a pivotal moment.
About this deal you made. With Edgar. The death of the colonel mercenary was only coincidentally beneficial to the Clares. But what about the other people you've killed for them?
Other people?
like the previous 4 women of the Union.
That's it. That's what you weren't connecting yourself.
I didn't fight 40 years to end up an informant for the international regime. What happened, happened.
Still dumb, your eyes are transfixed on his digit. It's yellow with nicotine.
Look who's up. From the drunken stupor. This one's worse for wear than me. Emotionally frayed. Life is hard for us human beings in deregulation hell, isn't it?
We will have plenty of time to talk about this later, Mr. Dross. When you're in pre-detention. It can take years in pre-detention.
Go ahead. I've been in solitary confinement my whole life. Glad. It's all gone.
What? But you said I would be taken to the...
The sum of all the erratic movements, fidgeting, and mood swings he's been exhibiting. The wind picks up. The silence on the water is broken all around you. Little shivers of waves appear. The lieutenant continues, like an incantation.
Your Wayfarer rights have been suspended. Information provided to the officers on the scene will be used against you by the prosecution. You will be given legal counsel within 1 week and must face court in 44 days. Do you understand? Do you understand?
But...
No, I don't want to. I have to stay here.
He's sweating. Beads are forming on his forehead.
Your confirmation is not required, sir. Now on to the boat.
There it is again. To your north, as it has been since you came to the coast. The reeds whisper, stalks rubbing against each other. But then, in the... something completely different. It sounds like a bow, very slowly being drawn against the strings of a violin. A very small violin, made of reeds and rushes.
Maybe there is room for 3 on the boat. What?
What are you talking about? Is this really us?
Your skin crawls. A delicate tangle of arms and legs unfolds from the reeds, limb by limb, to then just stand there, moving its scythe-like arms in ghostly silence. It's still there, an unfolding mechanism of reed-like chitin, hovering in place.
What are you talking about? There's nothing there.
The stick insect is over 3 meters tall. It looks straight at you with its tiny pinprick eyes and its grotesquely small head. You feel your legs shaking under you and your gun hand move to your holster to grab the gun. You feel the lieutenant's hand on your back, and then you hear him say 4 words.
I can see it.
If he can see it too, then you're not totally insane. But that would mean it's really there, spinning slowly, in absolute silence, its limbs long and slender.
Be very, very careful.
The creature stands on long stilt-like legs, antennae hanging from its head like a woman's hair, white and curled at the tips. It is no more than 5 steps away from you. Reed-like tufts stick out of its joints. As the insect moves its forearms, it produces a faint hiss, like a reel-to-reel machine spinning after the tape breaks. The hiss is different from the strings you heard before. It says something else in a lower pitch. Ch, 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 s, ch, 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 s. You barely get to take one step. The invertebrate reacts with uncanny speed, skating away across the water. It's gone, like a skipping stone, leaving nothing but rings on the sea's calm mirror. A flash of pain interrupts you, making you wince instead of letting the words out.
You know, officer, you can rest here if you are feeling tired. I will keep watch. You could use some rest for what's ahead.
You face the concrete wall. There's less light there, in the dark corner. Like a dog, you lie there. The blanket feels cold. The entire room does. Concrete and cold. Minutes pass. Half an hour maybe. The sounds of the sea beyond grow distant. Your eyelids close until you feel yourself standing up in the darkness, right next to the mattress. Slowly, the world begins to hatch from the blackness. It's evening. Sleep. Dolores Day, the innocence of humanism, internationalism, and the welfare state turns around to face you. She has an airship airbag in her hand. She seems to be in a hurry. Off to advise the Queen of Shest, most likely. This is the Holy Suzerain of Mwindi and Insulinda. Definitely not your wife. You need to talk to her. Think of the historical knowledge you could glean. I don't know, man. What is the Holy Suzerain doing here? Something seems off.
Hey. I mean, hey to you too? I'm doing really good, actually. Both professionally and romantically. I've come to a fulfilling and peaceful period in my life. Well, how are you doing, Harry? Well, I'm in my head too. We're all in our heads. Sometimes, not as often as I used to. So much time has passed. More than it seems here. I'm going to Morova. To live there, in Grad. It's 1 million kilometers away, Harry. Might as well be another lifetime. I'm sorry. I was heading to the aerodrome. I just don't have time to... Just my scepter, my globe cruciger, a spare silk gown, a toothbrush, travel documents, the crown of immortality. Oh, this is just a wreath. The crown of immortality is made of rarefied light, mana and raw palladium. It was passed on to me by the rulers of late antiquity.
She looks at the suitcase, not knowing what more to say. Then, over her shoulder.
Anyway. No, Harry. No. I don't want a massive, epic showdown. I want to go to the aerodrome. I have tickets for the 10:20 flight to Morova. Really. We don't have anything to talk about anymore. Every combination of words has been played out. The atoms don't form us anymore. Us. Our love. Our unborn daughters. It's all gone. I have to go to the aerodrome. I have to leave Revachol and you. And you have to be alone. In hell. Forever. That's just the way it is.
Oh God, whatever you do, don't try to kiss her yet. Not after that. You're still reeling. You'll fall over if you try now. No, don't say it. Don't beg. It will only make her go. Yes, somewhere hidden among the options popping up in your nervous system is the right one. That will make her love you again and not go to the aerodrome at all.
It's not, but... I don't know why I said but. There is no but. That's it, yes. We've talked about it a million times. You will get over it, just like I did. People do. Things will get good for you again.
Where in hell? Oh yes, she'll come around now. I made her love you again, Harry. Her innocence, Dolores Day, fiddles with the handle of her airport bag. She has a pained expression on her face. It's agonizing. I don't understand. It was, she herself said.
We were bad for each other, okay? I was bad for you. Can you not see? I'm bad. I had to stop. I couldn't just turn into a bad person. You will get better. It just takes some time. For you, I think it will take something like 20 years, maybe? It was hard for me too, you know? I used to think I couldn't live without you. But I can. Yes. But that time is gone now. So very gone. No, Harry. We can't. We already tried again, and it didn't work.
Is that how it is now? We should just try all good things twice, and then give up. By that logic.
I don't know. Please. Harry, we can't be together because you're insane.
They're turning moist now. Her eyes. She slowly shakes her head and tries to get hold of herself, brushing her hands in her gown.
You know what I mean. A little down. You've worked there for so long, you can't even talk like a normal person anymore. It's always lists with you. Questions.
Questions? Did someone say questions?
This is another one, isn't it? We're in a tree right now. It's not just the lists or trees or whatever. You get sad, Harry. Too sad. People can't get that sad. It's impossible to watch. Other people get sad too, but not like you. You stayed down for too long. You only communicated with encyclopedic trivia. I was so alone. In conclusion, you're ill. You're an old, insane man. And you have to be in hell until the end of your life. And I have to go to Morova.
With your feet trembling from the steps you took, tepid and fearful, you stand against her body close to you, radiating warmth. With your eyes closed, you move your lips on her mouth. She is not kissing you back. Her chest rising like a pillow, warm exhalations against the side of your mouth, her tender soul moving through her lungs. Feels like soft fuzz, a bird covered in down feathers, brushing against your broken capillaries. The world's most precious material, reserved for those she lets close enough to feel it. You are stealing a touch. It's not yours to take. This was not about failure or success. This was always going to be horror. I should not have suggested it, and you should not have listened to me. The delicate wreath on her forehead pressing into your temple. The silver is cold from the spring evening air. The moment is ending. She is going to move her face away from yours. Trying hard not to look at you. When she withdrew and you held on to her hand, she tried not to look at your face and see the expression there. Brother, you should put me in front of a firing squad. I have no words for how I failed you.
No, Harry. Not yet. There is one more thing you have to see. I'm pregnant. Of course not. I terminated yours. Don't you remember? You poor fuck. Poverty-stricken fuck. Now, go ahead. Ask me more questions. Let's talk about something else. Nothing. I have to go. I'm gonna go now.
Lies, sire. She cannot but love you. She has said so 100 times.
No. That would only be painful and dull. At the aerodrome, life, love, and laughter are waiting for me. At the cafeteria, dust, hell, and tragic comedy. That was someone else. I betrayed her, overwrote her, and am happier for it. And I'm really going now. The time is up. I must be on the 10:20 flight. Yes. I won't see you, but you will see me. Oh, Harry, this is a dream. Can't you see? I'm already in Morova by now. Who knows how long ago this happened? A year? 2? 5 years ago? Right here, tomorrow night. Once this dream starts happening, it keeps happening. 3 times a week, at least. And Harry, it really, really looks like it started happening again. There's the video rental. I'm suffocatingly beautiful. And young. And I smell of tutti frutti chewing gum, like I did that time when I asked you for forgiveness. After leaving you the first time, so long ago. Oh yes, this is real darkness. It's not death or war or child molestation. Real darkness has love for a face. The first death is in the heart, Harry. See you tomorrow.
You're up quick. How was your sleep? Of course. I was just thinking maybe you've torn your stitches. Are you ready to move on? We already solved the case, remember? You were sleeping. You thrashed around, then you bolted up, half covered in blood from your wound. Are you okay? I did not want to wake you. Perhaps I should have? Was it a job dream?
The lieutenant nods solemnly.
Okay.